Hello, welcome to this mini session brought to you by Admissionado. We are a premier admissions counseling and consulting company. My name is Doris Huang, and I am a senior consultant with Admissionado specializing in MBA admissions. And I'm excited to talk to you today about the top 3 things that we think you can do now to prepare for fall MBA applications. As we head into the summer, this is the time of year when many people start to think about applying. But the deadlines are still a few months away, so you might be asking yourself, are there things I should be doing this summer to prepare for round 1 or round 2 applications? And the answer is absolutely. What we've observed with the thousands of clients that we've worked with is that typically the people who have the most success in round 1 and round 2 and round 3 are the people who took the time to prepare early. Now, it can be overwhelming, especially if you've never done this before, so that's where we'd like to come in and try to help you out. We have 3 ideas today for things that you can be doing this summer to set yourself up for success come the fall or the winter. Idea number 1 is to get organized. Now, this sounds very basic and very simple, but you'd be surprised how many people rush into the process and don't actually take the time to set themselves up properly, get prepared, and get organized. The starting point is really assembling your school list, and we at Admissionado have actually recorded a different video, also for this GMAT Club MBA Spotlight series, specifically about how to compile your school list, so please check that out for more tips on how to do that. Once you have that list of schools that you want to apply to, the next step is to go ahead and map out all the deadlines. Now, most schools at this point have published their deadlines for the next admission cycle on their websites, but if not, just keep checking back, and typically within the next 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to see all those deadlines posted online. Now, how you do this is going to depend on your personal preference and style. If you are a paper and pencil kind of person, you might actually want to handwrite a map that shows all of these deadlines in whatever round you're shooting for. Or perhaps you're more of an Excel guy or gal and you like to use spreadsheets to organize yourself. There's also many calendar apps out there nowadays for your phone or your laptop. So there's any number of options. Whatever works for you is what you should do here. Once you have those final deadlines, the next step is to work backwards and actually map out internal deadlines or milestones for yourself. Now, each of these applications, as you know, has multiple components: the resume, the short answer essays, the longer personal statements, the letters of recommendation, transcripts. There's a lot of different pieces to the puzzle. So it's really critical that you create internal deadlines for each of those pieces for each of your applications. This is the way to ensure that you don't hit crunch time and end up squeezing yourself on any of these individual components. If you have it all mapped out in advance, it's going to be much easier to execute against that when push comes to shove. Keep in mind, too, that you're going to be applying to business school most likely while you're still working a full-time job. Perhaps you're going to still be enrolled in school. You may have family obligations. There's going to be a lot going on for you this fall and winter. So the more time you take to map out your plan now, the easier your life will be when it comes to the actual deadlines. Our second recommendation is that you take the time now to compile your best stories. Now, we've seen many applicants struggle to come up with ideas on what to write when it actually comes time to sit down and work on their personal statements. The way to get around this is to take the time now to reflect on 5 to 7 specific stories that best showcase your potential, and actually write these down. Handwrite them, or you can type them out on your computer. But the key is to actually capture this in writing and record it somewhere, because it's going to take time to compile this list. Now, ideally, these stories should come from the workplace because, after all, it is business school that you're applying to. But if you have some outstanding achievements, perhaps from your undergraduate days or from an extracurricular or nonprofit that you're involved in, you can feel free to include those stories as well. You want these stories to demonstrate the qualities that AdComs or admissions committees are looking for, such as leadership, teamwork, problem solving, innovation, and capacity for growth. If you're stuck, now is also a great time to ask family, friends, and coworkers for their input. It may be the case that they have a perspective on you and what makes you special that you may not realize yourself. So don't be shy about asking them for their input as well. I'm going to read to you 2 examples of stories. The first one is going to be an ineffective example, and I'll explain to you why that is, and then we'll contrast that with a very effective example. Here's the ineffective example. When I was promoted to associate at my consulting firm, I managed 2 analysts on my work stream for a Fortune 100 automotive company for 3 months. Now here's why this one falls short. First, it's very skimpy on specifics. When you say managed, what did that actually entail? What were your responsibilities vis-a-vis these analysts? Second, it's not unique. The reality is that in an MBA applicant pool, there's going to be a lot of associates who have managed analysts before. And third, it doesn't show your specific impact. How do these analysts do on their performance reviews when you manage them? What new skills do they gain from you? And how did having you as their manager, as opposed to anybody else, actually impact them? All of those elements are missing from that story. Now let's shift gears and contrast that with an effective example. Notice the differences here. When I was promoted to associate, I realized that many of my peers and I felt underprepared to interact with senior leaders internally, such as partners. With this in mind, I teamed up with the head of our firm's talent management team and the senior partner of our Chicago office to design a workshop on this topic for experienced analysts who are up for promotion to associate. We rolled out the workshop to 18 analysts in the first year, and feedback from both the analysts and their managers was so positive that the talent management team is now making this a mandatory component of analyst training every year. Did you see the differences? This one was chock full of specifics and details that were unique to this candidate, and it also showed the candidate's leadership vision as well as the impact they had on creating a whole new training module for people at their firm. That's the type of story and the level of detail that you want to shoot for here. And this will set you up for success when it comes time to write those all-important essays. Finally, our third suggestion is that you take time now to think about who you want to ask to write your letters of recommendation, or your LORs. Most schools are going to ask for 2 LORs. Some schools will give you an optional third LOR as well, so we suggest you identify 2 to 4 individuals who have worked with you in a supervisory capacity. Now, this is a very important point. Business school adcoms are looking for people who can evaluate your performance and your potential, and that takes tenure, seniority, and experience. And it's something that is very difficult for peers or subordinates to do. So many people say, is it okay if I have a direct report write my recommendation, or is it okay if I have a coworker who's on my same level? In very, very rare circumstances, that might be acceptable, but in the vast majority of instances, you really want this person to either have been a direct manager, supervisor, or boss, or someone who's senior to you, even if they didn't manage you directly. Another question we get from many of our clients is it important that my recommender went to the same business school that I'm applying to? Or is it important that they have a fancy high-level title, such as CEO or CFO? The answer is definitely not. It is far more important that your recommender knows you well, can speak very specifically about you and your work, and can compare you to your peers. These qualities are far more important in a recommender than their seniority or whether they have an MBA from the institution that you're applying to. Finally, bear in mind that the real work on your LORs with your recommenders will really only start about 4 to 6 weeks before your actual deadline. So it's too early at this point to ask anybody to write an LOR for you. This exercise is more about you taking the time to reflect on who in your workplace or who in your previous workplaces can really be an advocate for you. And if you identify any gaps in that list of recommenders, then now's a great time to start expanding your network and your horizon and start to think more creatively and flexibly about who you can ask if you're really struggling to come up with a list of 2 to 4 people. So to wrap up here, the big takeaway is that MBA application success really is directly correlated with how early you start to prepare. This is a tried and true axiom of MBA applications, and we hope that by taking this first step today and watching this video, you feel inspired to get started. Use this momentum to set yourself up now so that when it comes time to actually put pen to paper, you are in great shape. We hope that was helpful. Feel free to reach out to us at www.admissionado.com or send us an email at info@ if you'd like to talk to us more about how we can be of help during your journey. Best of luck to all of you. Thanks for watching.